A mutant mercenary called Deadpool, aka Wade Wilson, makes the decision to try and save a child mutant from a time traveling cyborg known as Cable. Sound cool? Because I'm here to talk about Deadpool 2 from 2018. So here is yet another movie that has been hanging out in my personal queue for a number of years at this point. Well, 6 years, I guess. I was always gonna watch it, but I just didn't know when I would. I mean, I know you hear about superhero fatigue uh, over the last couple years. I had superhero fatigue like pretty early on, to be honest. Like I've seen the first Thor. I think like Iron Man 2 might be one of the last of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films that I saw, other than the two Deadpool movies. So I don't know. Do with it what you will. Um, the Deadpool franchise is like one of the very few exceptions that I make. And with the upcoming, Deadpool and Wolverine movie, I figured now is the right time to finally watch Deadpool 2. And this time around, we have David Leitch, something like that, as director, instead of Tim Miller, who directed the first one. However, both writers were retained, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, as well as Ryan Reynolds contributing this time around to some of the writing, which is very cool. And in order to get a similar feel, to the first film from 2016, like I said, I think it's important to retain, the same writers. That's key. And as for the cast, we've got, of course, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. We've got Josh Brolin as Cable, and Zazie Beetz as Domino. Is it Zazie or Zazie? I don't know, but I like her. Now, I'm a big comic book fan. I mean, look at me. Looks like a dude that would read comics, right? You probably thought that. If you did, you were right. I absolutely do. I've followed Deadpool since the 90s, actually. So I've been a fan, of the characters Deadpool and also Cable. And now here's a fun fact. Both Deadpool and Domino make their first appearances in the same comic issue. I actually, as a prop here, I brought the said comic. It's the New Mutants issue 98. This is a bit of a rarity right now. It's pretty sought after. My copy is in really, really good condition. At this point, I'm probably never going to read it again. I've read it a bunch. So yeah, here you are, introducing the Lethal Deadpool. This issue is actually known for having three characters having their debuts in the same issue. Domino as well. That's the Domino character that's in the movie. And then you also have a guy called Gideon. He is not in the Deadpool movie. And, I don't think the character of Gideon really went too far. I, Whenever I think Gideon too, I think of the hotel Bibles, that are left here by the Gideons, and nobody ever really knows what the fuck is a Gideon. Bill Hicks actually had a really good bit about that in the 90s. Anyways, I'm getting kind of off track here. Thought I'd show that because I show off that comic whenever I can. Those that know, I hate that saying, but I'm going to use it. So, where were we? Yeah. These characters were created by artist Rob Liefeld, who has become kind of a meme in the comic book world due to his just ridiculous drawing style. I have a number of the man's comics, and he just always seemed to be terrible especially with anatomy. Again, it's one of those things where if you know exactly what I mean. He kind of straddled the line of being a good artist and really, really terrible. He was kind of both simultaneously. He wasn't by any means, in my opinion, one of the better artists that Marvel ever had. He's solid, but I think he just got lucky because he ended up creating some characters that became kind of important. Had he not done that, I don't think he would have the same. I don't think his name would carry the same weight as it does to this day. But you know what? Whatever. Good for him. Maybe he's a good guy. I think I met him at Seattle Comic Con one year, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure. I don't know. I met so many cool artists and writers and stuff like that. But anyways, getting off topic again. When I mentioned Rob Liefeld, being terrible with anatomy and proportions and stuff like that, he's also notorious for not being able to draw feet very well. And oh man, is that true? There were some other things he couldn't draw very well either. I can't remember, but definitely feet. Again, he's become like a meme. I hate to say it, but it's true. And there's at least one joke about that in this movie, and it's awesome. It's a nice little treat for the Marvel, old school comic fans. So, anyways, comparing Deadpool 2 to the first film, which I thought was really good. I loved the first film. We have to ask ourselves, how does Deadpool 2 stack up? And I'll admit, I did not see this coming, did not expect this, but right now I'm leaning towards this one. I really do think I liked it more. And what's funny is that I hardly heard anyone talk about this back when it came out, because part one just had so much buzz. It's so much buzz. It was awesome. I was so happy about it. I hardly heard anyone talk about part two for whatever reason. Maybe it was just me. I don't know. The box office numbers, and I actually only really just recently researched this. I would have assumed that part two did quite a bit less business than the first one, but it actually did just slightly more. I mean, they're almost neck and neck. It did like a couple thousand more or something. Very, very, very similar. And I think it's more than fair to say the upcoming film will do very, very well. So in the beginning of this, we see Deadpool doing freelance mercenary work, taking out dangerous people for money. And one night he fails to take out his target, who returns to attempt to kill Deadpool. And the guy ends up killing Vanessa accidentally, which is Deadpool's girlfriend. And after trying to kill himself over the grief, he's recruited by the X-Men, which he reluctantly agrees to kind of try it out. And I'm going to backtrack a bit here because I forgot to elaborate on the opening scenes, especially the one that shows Deadpool wiping out his targets one after one. It's such a great opening, and you can tell that the writers, I think they felt a duty to try and outdo the first film. And personally, I think that it does, in really in every way. For this scene, I'm focusing on the violence pretty much just by itself. I mean, Deadpool, he must kill 30 to 40 people in the first 5 or 10 minutes. It's just like watching a meat grinder in action. He's shooting people, he's decapitating them, dismembering them, stabbing them, and even gets a chainsaw at one point. It's so goddamn great. I mean, honestly, I think it's one of the better openings to any film, in my opinion, especially like an action film. And now in comes Cable. So first, I'm really glad to see this character because I just always thought he was so cool growing up. One of my favorite Marvel characters, to be honest. And surprisingly, he looks great here. Very close to the comics, which made me happy. And Josh Brolin plays him very, very well. I always liked Brolin too, but I wasn't sure, how he would be in this role. I kind of doubted it at first, but I got no complaints. He's awesome. Did an awesome job. Now, for those that didn't read the comics, so Cable is a cyborg soldier from the future. If I remember correctly, and it's been a while, so correct me if I'm off a little bit. He was a mutant, I think, at one point. Instead of a cyborg, and even the current Cable, I think he's only half. I think he's like half mutant, half cyborg. Anyways, something like that. So he also has this machine that gives him the ability to time travel. That's kind of like his thing. He's kind of an anti-hero, I think is the right way to describe him. And he's traveled back in time to kill a child mutant because in the future, this kid grows up to become very, very dangerous, and he actually ends up killing Cable's family. I mean, all of this, I think, is much more interesting than the plot of the first film. And I really didn't like the villain in that movie. That kind of brought it down a little bit for me personally. So clearly Cable's motivation is intense, and he will stop at nothing. It also adds some emotional heft, I think I would say, and giving him something in common with Deadpool. They both understand each other. They're both in pain. They both have regrets, and they are both sympathetic. And I think that is about as much as I should spoil, because I think I still kind of suck. I'm working on it. I don't know about you guys, but I always liked Ryan Reynolds, and I think he's a great Deadpool. I know he gets a lot of criticism for, only playing one character, and his Deadpool is kind of, Ryan with a costume on, but I think it works. He respects the character, and he hates what went down, in that second Wolverine film where Deadpool first appears. Please don't make me talk about that. And Ryan actually ad-libbed a lot of his lines in this film, which I think is fucking rad. We get some other Marvel characters here too, like like Fire Fist, the young mutant being targeted by Cable. We also see Colossus again. We get Juggernaut, which is always cool. We see Weasel again, played by T.J. Miller. We get Negasonic Teenage Warhead again. There are brief X-Men character cameos, but I've already bored the non-comic fans, so I think I'll just wrap this up. Now, I did mention T.J. Miller, and he actually faced some serious sexual misconduct allegations after Deadpool 2 was already filmed. So he won't be playing the character of Weasel going forward, and rightfully so. And also, I gotta tell you this, there was a scene removed where Deadpool uses Cable's time-traveling device to go back in time to kill baby Adolf Hitler. You're welcome. Anyways, I had a blast with this. Just absolutely loved it. The violence, the constant fourth wall breaking, the crude humor, it all works for me. So, despite the removal of baby Hitler murder scene, I'm giving Deadpool 2 a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe even an 8. I don't know. It was so much fun, and I can't wait for the next film. Cheers, guys.